Welcome back. Major search engines, including Google, will now be required to take important steps to prevent child sexual abuse material being returned in search results. It's part of a new industry code starting today. Joining us with more live now is eSafety Commissioner Julie Inman Grant. Julie, thank you for your time. Appreciate it. I would have thought those major players already have pretty strict measures in place to prevent that sort of abuse material popping up in a search engine, for example. What is it that the code kicking in today will actually change?
Right. Well, I think most people on the street would be surprised that the major technology platforms don't have adequate policies, processes, and technologies in place to stop pro-terror content and child sexual abuse material. And that's why the government empowered us through the Online Safety Act to tackle 8 sectors of the technology ecosystem. Now, we did register 5 codes, but when we got the search engine code, around this time last year, there was what I call the AI drag race, when artificial intelligence and generative AI were starting to be integrated into search engines. So not only affecting the way that we search for content, but the way that we generate and create content. And without proper guardrails, these powerful generative AI tools can create synthetic child sexual abuse material or pro-terror propaganda.
And so what sort of penalties will the tech firms face if they don't live up to the code?
Well, right. First, I want to give the technology companies credit because I knew once this integration happened, if I registered the code, that it would be obsolete before it even started. So I sent it back to the industry, and Google, Microsoft, and others turned it around in about a month. And this is why the 6th code is starting late. But we will go into compliance phase starting today, and we'll continue to monitor and test and see whether or not these mainstream search engines are either leading people to gateways of child sexual abuse, or that if their generative AI tools are able to create this kind of abhorrent content. They will be subject to significant penalties if they aren't in compliance.
You mentioned that you've got a number of planks here in terms of the industry standards that are being implemented when it comes to private messaging services and photo storage services, and looking at those risks associated by generative AI, as you mentioned earlier. What is the problem there that you're trying to fix? Because I see the tech firms have been warning that the sort of standards that you're introducing could actually backfire and essentially make it harder for AI to protect online safety. Are you sure that you're not really cutting off your nose to spite your face when it comes to how those guardrails are in place around that generative AI?
Well, actually, I think that's a big furphy for big tech companies that don't want to have to take responsibility for child sexual abuse on their platforms. So that the company in question, Apple, only reported 234 instances of child sexual abuse material to our sister agency, NCMEC, in 2022. This is compared to Meta's 27 million pieces of material. They don't have reporting mechanisms that allow the public to report to Apple. And they did develop some technology because they knew they had a problem with child pornography called neural hash. But in response to privacy and digital rights criticisms, they pulled that really actually very good perceptual hashing technology. So there is no intention, and we have indicated that in the standards that we're consulting on now, we will put very clearly in the standards that we're not interested in undermining or weakening encryption. That is not in anyone's interest. But we cannot absolve these big tech companies of responsibility for tackling child sexual abuse material and pro-terrorist content. This is extremely harmful material, and it's illegal, and someone has got to draw a line.
Julie Inman Grant, eSafety Commissioner, best of luck in drawing that line. We'd like to see a cleaner internet, and hope that these reforms help us get there. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks so much, Ash.